Listen, we just watched John Wick. Now, I have seen it many a time, but this was your first time watching it, correct?
Yes.
So we're going to discuss it. This movie is pretty simple. So you have a guy. His name is John Wick. He's a retired hitman, assassin, whatever you want to call it. You just see him burying his wife. His wife just passed away. They show some scenes of them together, and then I get sick, and then they're in the hospital. Right before she died, I guess she had it set up that when she passed away for him to get one last gift from her, which was a puppy. So he wouldn't be alone, because I'm sure being in the assassin world, you don't make a lot of friends that aren't outside of that world, right? So technically his wife would be his whole world, right? He runs into these Russian guys, tells them he has a nice car and wants to buy it, and then he tells them to fuck off. Later on, they come to his house, break in there, steal his car, beat him up pretty badly, and then kill the dog for no reason. So I remember when it first came out, some people were like, it's just a dog, but I was like, no, not after a couple of days after his wife died. Like, you might as well just popped her. After that, he goes on a path of revenge to take out the guy and anybody that stands in his way. And that's pretty much what the movie is about. And it has a lot of cool things that we'll probably end up discussing. What did you think?
Oh, I liked it. And this is like, I know you've been telling me for a while that I need to watch the movie. And I've also had other people be like, you never seen that movie? You need to watch this. It's a good movie. So I wasn't really into action movies before, but I also have like grown a real love for movies that show who are like highly flawed but also charming in their flaws. And this movie, don't get me wrong, like it didn't show a lot of his personality. I guess I'm talking about the character. Just like he lost his wife and the dog, and through that you can see that he went from a cope with his wife's death to just rage, right? Outside of that, there wasn't much, like you could just see that he wasn't playing with these people. He just went on a whole spree of just annihilating like everybody. I didn't get that aspect of it, but I didn't think it needed that. It was like full on action packed. I liked the fighting scenes. I also just like characters fearless and shit like that. Although they didn't show much of his personality, it was shown who he was by like the response that he was the owner of that car. Okay, y'all messed the wrong one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. It all depends on who you talk to. I've heard it from a lot of people that like Keanu ain't the best actor, right? I think he's the worst actor either. He kind of has a wheelhouse that he kind of goes in. He's done some other stuff, and then lately he's been like doing like little cameos in like other movies and stuff, which is pretty funny. Depending on his role, he can be really good. Actually, he's a major character in that Cyberpunk game. He needs to do more voice acting because I think he's phenomenal at that. He played with Keanu's strong points, which is obviously the action and the physical stuff, right? And like you said, John is not really, you don't get much of his personality. He's real stoic. He doesn't talk a lot, but like the world around him was expertly like built. Like you want to see more of like how this criminal underground system works with the gold coins and the hotel empire that he used to be a part of. Like it makes you real interested in how that goes. He didn't have to show you his personality because you got to hear it from everybody else. Well, not even just hear it. You get to see it on their faces.
You already knew it was over at that point.
Yeah, the Russian mob boss calls him. So I heard you struck my son. He's like, yes, sir, I did. May I ask why? Yes, sir. He took he stole John Wick's car and killed his dog. And I just like, he turns around, you see this worried look on the face like, oh. That one thing told you all you need to know about part, like the world building is really fun. And it's everybody's reaction to him popping up, man. This dude is just like a walking tsunami of death, and bullets.
The way he moved around the world being this like assassin. Also his interactions with people lets you know that his lifestyle would be like condemned by a lot of people, right? At the same time, the way that he lived that seemed to be with like a lot of honor because of the way people responded to him. Although he was he was obviously dangerous. He was obviously something to be afraid of, judging by everyone's reaction and then finding out what he does. He moved a certain way. That stoicism I like that. I like when they show people who are flawed, like stuff like, I like when they build characters around someone who does a job like that, but then also you see the human side of them. I'm mad that they unlocked that damn dog. Man, that dog was so cute. Them big old ears. I was like, I was spooked up behind that. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah, that was the cutest dog, that little beagle puppy. But you might not get much from Keanu. Like you get like all of it from everybody else, the main mob boss. Like you could just see how still like on one hand, he probably was like, man, I could just make things so much easier if I let this man take my son out. But then at the same time, he's a mob boss. You think this man actually loved his son or no?
I'd argue that anyone who allows their kids to get into that lifestyle, like I would argue that they don't, because why would you allow that? And on the flip side, you feel like that's your family empire, and he goes back to that, insist on being a part of it. He grew up with that, so he's gonna end up either doing it elsewhere where you can't keep an eye on him, protect him, or doing it in your organization where at least you can keep an eye on him.
I can see what you're saying, but for me, it goes either two ways, right? And either that he loves his son, but he doesn't respect him, and he thinks his son is a fuck up, right? And he probably doesn't let him do little jobs just to make himself feel useful and keep him out of the way. Or he doesn't care for his son, he's just making him useful. You can't really be of sound mind in that business. To get to that top, you gotta be a raging crazy.
You got a ruthless piece of shit.
Yeah, so part of me, I think that he ended up knocking up some woman that probably wasn't his wife, because you never hear anything about Yosef's mother or anything, or Vigo's wife. And then he decided that he was gonna, I'm not gonna let my son, be raised by some hoe, you know what I'm saying? So he decided to take care of him. And he didn't take after him, and I don't think he actually loves him, but because of his blood, he just tolerates him. As he calls Aurelio and finds out that he stole John Wick car and killed his dog. Now granted, he probably should get knocked about, but it's just the way he's looking at him. Like, he's like, looks at him like, punches him in the stomach and stuff twice, and then tells him the story. He uses his son as bait for Red Circle and wait for John Wick to come for you, right? And I didn't get that at first. When I've seen this movie a bunch of times, I get that, I was like, oh, when later on, when Winston, who's the old man that runs the Continental, was talking to John, he later tells him, at the Red Circle, like, he gets that message to him. And so I was like, oh shit, he's using his kid. I would never use my son for bait. This guy is one of the baddest motherfuckers walking that you've ever seen. Like, you literally told the story how he's not the boogeyman. You send him to kill the boogeyman, right? When you run in a business or you running a team, there's always one person that's better than everybody else, right? He maybe thought that he had the numbers. One man is probably going to end up getting killed in that situation, right? But like, let's say hypothetically, this one man can do that. Throwing all these flunkies at him ain't gonna do it. And there's only really like one dude that was actually putting some hands on John, head bodyguard at the club that you saw multiple times. He was the only one really throwing in hand. Everybody else is just bullet sponges, I don't think he loved his son. If it was me, I'd have had him on a plane out of the city. Right? I bet you stole whose car and kill whose dog? All right, get him out. Don't even tell me where he's going, just in case John gets his hands on me. I don't even want to know. And so they hide him in a safe house. John blows up, all his money. One bodyguard we talked about, he ends up getting like hit with a car by that guy, passes out, and they got him tied up on a chair. It almost looked like Vigo was trying to like talk to him, and that maybe if he had just shut the fuck up and just like, look, I'll go home, maybe he was gonna let him go, but then he didn't. He told him to suffocate him, and then he got saved. And then, like, of course, that's when he ran out and hit that car with the shotgun pump, that dope ass shotgun. He sold his own son out right now, man. Pump me, hit me with that shotgun, bro. Or I ain't giving you my kid. You can go to hell. But he gave his kid up. Like, you can't love your son.
Because I completely forgot that part. You're absolutely right. I mean, even like you said, like, from the minute that you knew that he was the one that John Wick was going to be coming for, he should have been on a plane out of there. The fact that even beyond that point, you didn't take like extra steps to like protect him. To some degree, like, he already knew it was about to be over for all of them. It was an ego thing for him.
I'm the boss. I'm the man. If I just hand in my son, nobody's going to respect me. So I got to fight to the last drop. I don't think anybody would thought he was weak for getting his son the fuck up out the city.
That's the crazy mentality that comes with some type of lifestyles. Could you really even fully love somebody, even a spouse, or it's war? If he did really love him, he would have took steps completely different from what he did. He kind of just left his kid out there to be slaughtered.
The other part, which was crazy to me, John takes on that whole warehouse, takes everybody out. Then, of course, Vigo gets the call, hears about it. Vigo finds out his son's dead, and then that's when John and Willem Dafoe's character meet up, and they talk, and that's when Perkins saw him and went and snitched. And she tells Vigo, so then Vigo goes to the house, has his men meet a homie while he's walking home, and they proceed to like torture him for a little bit. And then this dumbass calls John, I killed your friend. I'm like, what are you doing, Mira? What are you doing?
I gotta say, it was all ego with him, because like, why would you do that?
He had to let him know it was like an eye for eye. That's that code that they had. Like, if you think about it, what's funny? If you took this story and took it and put it in Japan and it was like samurai times, it still could work. You know what I'm trying to say? But he didn't have to tell him. But he wanted to gloat. I was like, what's wrong with you? He told through your whole thing, effectively probably ruined any hold you had on anybody else just to get your son. And you gonna tell him, hey, guess what? I killed your friend too. What? That dude was at his wife's funeral. Are you insane? Obviously, he cherishes him enough for him to be at the funeral. Like, that was the dumbest thing.
None of what he did had anything to do with anything but his ego. He didn't give a shit about nothing else. Not his kid or his empire. Maybe he always didn't like John or something like that, or felt like this was his time to take down the boogeyman.
Basically, to get out of the mob and marry his wife, he had to do this impossible mission, and that mission laid the foundation of their empire that they're on currently. So obviously, he must have been fucking around with a lot smaller empire, and maybe not even smaller as in guys, as in like power, influence, maybe even money. And I think that he thought that maybe he could outdo John with numbers, which obviously didn't work out for him. I think that he thought he could take him at first. He could just went up there, killed Willem Dafoe's character, got on an airplane, and then went to Russia. Not that John wouldn't have come looking for him, but he still would have.
Right.
Still,
He wanted to be able to go head to head and win. It probably was unlikely that he was going to be successful.
he wanted to be the person to take out the Baba Yaga. Probably he wanted to be the take. They got that guy clip John Wick. You know what I'm saying? That probably
Right.
was.
Exactly.
Maybe that was the only way to actually after losing his kid and all that other stuff, maybe that would be the only way to actually keep him on top.
I think it wasn't even as a response to losing his kid. I think that was what he wanted from the jump.
He didn't want it at first. At the beginning, he made a call to John, all right, let me try to stop this. He didn't immediately send people over to his house to murk him. Good movie though, really good. I would, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. What would you say was your favorite action set piece?
I like the club scene, but I gotta add in a favorite part. And my favorite part is when they took out the snitch. When they all came out,
She was like, oh well.
the only way for them to be able to enforce something like that among a bunch of assassins, I thought she was gonna get away because she just wasn't that big of a part. You know what I mean? In my opinion. So I didn't think they would waste the time to show you what happens to her. But
I have to agree with you. The club scene, the red circle club scene, is my favorite fight. I need a second, either honorable mention or a second runner-up is when those guys come to his house. After he got dressed. My second favorite one, just because the fights were crazy and they're just showing how badass he was. My favorite part, outside of the action scene, was when the cop came to his house. Obviously, a body in clear view with the door open, and realistically, a cop would have pulled his gun out on him, right? Love how the cop's face immediately goes to worry, and he takes his hat off. He's like, "You working again?" He's scared. Oh God. I just, dude was just shit. He's like, "Are you working again?" He's just, "No, I'm just figuring some things." And he's like, "Okay, you have a nice day." He's like, "You too, man." You don't get a lot from John's character, super duper stoic, but everybody else fills in the blanks with him. It's even the police are scared of him. You know what I'm saying? He's so scary that the cops, the mob, all these people know this guy. He's a pretty chill guy. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he's not a psycho. He's not, I guess you could argue that he is a psycho because he did all that stuff. He had a reason for it. It wasn't because he was just wantonly, trying to take people out for his pleasure. He probably would rather not have to do all that stuff. He literally went to the effort to seal that life away under his basement.
one of my favorite type of characters is a virtuous maniac.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, guys. So this is the John Wick's discussion. Funny enough, the director of this movie is a stuntman as well, and he was Keanu's stunt double for The Matrix. We're gonna check out some more movies like this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you could, hit that like, share this out, sub. YouTube is probably showing you some videos as we're speaking. Click them. You want them. And we'll see you on the next one. All right, y'all. All right, later, y'all.